But you can't want the sport to progress without money.
What else? How else can the sport progress, Clay? I know you have some views on this. I'd love to give you the opportunity to.
So,
what does the sport need? What would you say? What's it lacking at this point right now?
So I can obviously only speak to like the material for me as a storyteller needed to make more engaging stories for a mainstream audience. And obviously, the Drive to Survive show on Netflix is brilliant, and it's completely changed F1. It's completely changed sports documentaries, you know. And I've definitely, you know, like I'm a fan of storytelling, and I love studying it and figuring out, like working backwards. Why was this scene so engaging, right? And so I've watched Drive to Survive, I've watched Full Swing, I've watched the tennis show, I've watched the surf one on Apple TV Plus is really good. It's all this production company from London, Box to Box Films, and I've definitely, like, as soon as the F1 series came out and it became popular, I would literally maybe every week get a call or an email from somebody in the industry that's like, Clay, I got an idea. I'm like, okay, cool. What's your idea? And it's like Drive to Survive, but for mountain biking. And I'm just like, well, that's what I've been trying to do my whole life. Like, yeah. Of course I want to do that. But the thing that in my opinion, why Drive to Survive is so successful to I don't care about F1. I don't like, you know, is that they have communication from the team to the athlete.
Okay.
And therefore the storytellers behind that show have all this material of it now becomes a team sport, right?
Yeah.
And so in my opinion, for World Cup mountain biking to get to the next level, like a Drive to Survive show, there needs to be communication from team managers to the racers as they're racing, and the Box to Box Films, whatever, needs access to that, right? And I personally don't think that's the thing that's limiting the sport to getting to the next level, is there's no communication from, like, I want to be able to, as a storyteller, hear what the team manager would say, like, pedal harder, Loic, blah, 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 you got this.
Yeah,
like, if I have access to all that, and I'm pretty sure that's illegal, right, in the sport.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Again, in my opinion, to elevate the sport to the next level, that needs to be allowed, because that will provide storytellers more opportunity to tell more engaging, real stories.
It's a fascinating thought.
Really hard to, and if you look at, say, Drive to Survive, incredibly successful. The tennis show, still really well done. The surf one, still really well done. The tennis one, still really well done. They're nowhere near as successful as Drive to Survive. And the one thing that those shows don't have that Drive to Survive has is communication from the pits to the athlete. And so that's, and you know, going back to like we want to do Drive to Survive but World Cup mountain biking, like, hit me up. That's my dream. I've been working my entire life to try and do something like that. I'm ready for it. I want to make something on Netflix that's like Drive to Survive for World Cup mountain biking. And it's like, I'm the dude to do it. I want to do it. And, but for me to do it, how I know it can be done, it needs audio dialogue, right? Of team to rider. Rider has an earpiece, and we need access to all of that.
Already, the sport's changed so much. There's like 12 people spotting lines now in a team.
Totally.
Like that wasn't the case before, and like it's already changed so much. So I can see how that would be a change that would work.
Yeah, like, and okay, here's another example of why I feel really strongly about in order for the sport to grow, it needs communication from the pits to the athlete during the race. And the other example I have of that is the really brilliant, also done by Box to Box Films, the Tour de France documentary, Unchained or something like that. And that has, obviously in road cycling, there's communication from the chase vehicle or whatever it's called to the cyclist. And that show and the Drive to Survive show, that is the nucleus of the power of those shows, is the communication between the two. Without that, you're just left with hoping you're at the right place in the right time and hoping you have enough talking head interviews to support that. But when you have the communication, you can really take out the talking heads, and then the audience goes, holy shit, this is the most real, authentic stuff ever. Like talking heads are like kind of like storytelling poison in a way. It's someone retroactively trying to remember how they felt on a day. The audience is all like visual evidence in documentary filmmaking is always going to trump somebody retroactively trying to remember how they felt. You know,
does it have to be the rider, or could it be from the manager? Because I also think
it definitely could be from the manager, and that's another thing why, like, you know, people are like, oh, you should do 3-minute gaps too, and I'm like, please, I'd love to, but I'm not gonna do it. 3-minute gaps was the max one human. I had John Lawler helping me out a ton, and I had John Reynolds helping me out a ton, but it needs that communication. And like back in the day, even before I kind of had this epiphany that that's why Drive to Survive is so successful, my whole goal, say if I was able to get the budget to have multiple cameras, it's not going to be to have all the cameras on the hill. It's going to be, dude, Dan Brown is mic'd up during Rach's race run, and you are filming Dan Brown only. And if you fucking film anything else, put the camera back on Dan Brown. That's where the emotion is. That's what Drive to Survive does so well. That's what the Tour de France documentary does so well. Is it's they've turned these individual sports into these team sports, and that's where downhill is right now. It's not like, you know, 2005 when Sam's in Europe, he's pitting out of the SRAM pits. It's proper. There's a you know, the amount of full-time people that the Athertons employ these days has got to be insane. And those are the people that I think, if you tell their stories, can relate more to a mainstream audience. It's like every sport has a documentary where it follows the top athlete, and it's like, will they win the race or will they not? And that stuff's great and stuff, but in order to take the storytelling to the next level, you have to make the people behind the scenes just as much a part of the main story. Like in Drive to Survive, my favorite character on that is the Gunther dude who manages the Haas team, right? He is the best character on that show, hands down. The second best character is Christian Horner, the Red Bull TM. And those guys make the show what it is. It's not, you know, Lewis Hamilton driving it. That's boring, dude. It's just a dude driving a car, right? And so again, it's
I'll make it happen.
Yeah, I need to send an email to Box Films and be like, here's 3-minute gaps 10 years ago. I did it all on my own. I want to do this sport, but with your guys' production knowledge, and I think it'd be really engaging. And I think for the audience, it's like mountain biking's in a cool spot where it's getting bigger, but it's obviously not at F1 or not at, you know, professional surfing, I don't know, whatever, all these other ones. And it's like, there's an opportunity within mountain biking to tell a sporting story that still feels like a giant traveling circus that's not so big that there isn't that, you know, downhill's amazing because these guys are super competitive, but like back in the day, like Greg would come over to the Comb and Salt pits and Greg and G would have a beer together. That doesn't happen in other sports, you know?
Yeah.
And those type of moments are what the average person can really relate to. It's hard being an average person relating to the best athlete in the world, right? Yeah. But you can relate to the people that assist the athletes, in my opinion, way more than the actual athlete. Yeah. And in my opinion, the Drive to Survive show is that's the brilliance of it, dude.
Well, dude, I love your passion, and I'm watching it. I'm tuning in, and hopefully in your email you can attach this clip, this podcast, and it comes across, because it'd be the dream for it to happen.
And I like want it. I'm at a point in my career where I feel like I'm lazy right now. Like Death Grip 2, it's really fun to make. I get to hang out with my best friends and make amazing stuff, but it's still pretty images set to music with drums in it, you know? And it's like, I feel like as a storyteller, I'm getting complacent chasing better focus pulls. Like, fuck focus pulls, man. It's all about it's all about filming real emotion, you know? And I feel like as a storyteller, I'm finally ready to make the project around World Cup downhill that I've always wanted to make, but it's taken me 20 years to learn all this stuff, you know? And it's one more thing. It's super interesting during lockdown. So prior to 2008, I shot everything on tape, right? It wasn't on memory cards, right? So I have just probably 1,000 mini DV tapes from over the years. And so I bought the like mini DV tape deck that you need to digitize that stuff. And I'd just be bored during lockdown. I'd grab, you know, '07 Schladming, Sam Hill. That'll be a fun tape to watch. And I'll watch it. And I filmed Sam in his element, but and he's such a funny dude and all this stuff. And I filmed all that stuff. And again, Sam gave me the access, but I wasn't mature enough as a storyteller to realize that's the goal. That's the gold. That's what I meant to say. And not Sam doing the sickest whip in practice.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, I want to make a project with Box to Box Films around World Cup series. And until, I don't know, that's the goal. Like, honestly, I finished Death Grip 2 and I want to get back into the World Cup scene, and I want to make the project that I've always had in my head. And I've only feel like now I've learned enough to even do it.
Did you enjoy this clip? If so, please like and subscribe. The full episode is available by hitting one of the links on the screen right now, or type The Ride Companion into your favourite podcast app. We've even put links in the show description for you. Cheers!